Jai Jinendra, please, please take your seats. Thank you very much for coming down on Saturday morning. And I see very enthusiastic crowd today. It is my pleasure to introduce to you esteemed Professor and Dr. Bharat Aggarawal. This is the first time I meet you, but I have heard many things about you. He first came on my radar screen by the introduction from Raj Dami, who has been our Jain Center member. And he said that this is something to see whether you have any interest. And I looked at it and I said, I don't think you need to ask me a question. Everybody would have an interest. So I thank you very much for introducing Dr. Aggarwal to me and to the Jain community. He has done a lot of work on turmeric, as you know, and he will run you through the history, which is centuries old, not just decade old. He has done a lot of work at the MD Anderson Institute in Texas, and currently he is directing a center of inflammation in San Diego. And me being a doctor, I can tell you that there are many diseases, but most, if not all, diseases, the root cause is an inflammation. That is even to the point that the heart attack now, it is blamed on inflammation. So without any further delay, I would ask Dr. Aggarwal to come and tell us more about turmeric. And we thank you very much on behalf of the Jain Center taking your time coming down on Saturday morning. Thank you very much for this is Aggarwal as well.
Should I stand here?
Oh, no, a little closer to the screen, so I can get both. Yeah, just a little closer is better, this way. That's comfortable for you?
Yeah.
But I can get both now.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a stand for the microphone?
Yeah.
I'll stay in the back. No, I'm fine. I'm okay.
All right.
Please to come in the front.
Well, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
First of all, I would like to say Jai Jinendra. I'm very, very glad to be here. I would first like to thank Mr. Raj Dhami, not Dr. Raj Dhami, for giving me this opportunity to be here. And second, I would like to thank Dr. Modi and for hosting me for this event this morning. And it is my great pleasure to be here because you have such a fantastic and huge temple that I have never been here. This is my first time to be here. And most importantly, I would like to thank all of you for being here, because if all of you were not here, I will not be here. So I highly appreciate for all of you coming over here. So what I'm going to tell you this morning is, on one hand, something very simple. On the other hand, it may sound complicated as I go through my presentation. So I'm a researcher, and I went to school in Berkeley, University of California, San Francisco, and then a company called Genentech, and then MD Anderson Cancer Center, which is known to be one of the biggest cancer center. And we have made some discoveries that are published in the form of 700 papers and almost 50 patents. And I would like to share some of those discoveries with you. And on one hand, I have a good news for you. On the other hand, I have a bad news for you. The good news is anything and everything I want to say, I can say in one sentence. The bad news is I have 180 slides to cover it. So the one sentence that I want to share with you, that there is something called fire. And fire is nothing but Agni Devta. And this fire word led to this word inflame. Inflame means inflammation. Fire is not bad for you if you keep it under control. If you keep the fire under control, as you are doing cooking in the kitchen or you are warming up your house and everything, fire is good for you. But same fire, when it gets out of control, especially here in California, it can burn everything. And you can see billions of dollars of damage in Paradise Valley that has happened. It is, or for that matter, this PGE, that all of us use, that fire coming from PGE that got out of control and led to total disaster. So that's a bad fire. So there is a good fire and there is a bad fire. Good fire is good for you, bad fire is bad for you. And all that fire in our body comes from immune system. So we have an immune system that turns on the fire and takes care of things that we don't want. And same immune system gets out of control and it leads to disaster. So I'm going to show you that virtually every disease known to man is caused by this fire. Every disease known to man. Inflammation. Inflammation. And we happen to discover a molecule that causes inflammation. And I'm going to share with you what is that molecule. And then I'm going to also share with you that how to control this molecule. And what we have learned, that there's no better way to control this molecule that causes inflammation than haldi, turmeric. Haldi is healthy. So we were the first one to provide the basis that how haldi does what it does. So as of today, way back then when I started, there were less than 50 papers on haldi, on turmeric. As of today, there are 15,000 papers now written on turmeric, haldi. And virtually most of the stores or restaurants that you go, there are haldi dishes. In some of the restaurants in Manhattan, they named it, the restaurant itself named is a haldi. And there's a restaurant in Palo Alto named Turmeric. So people are coming around and they're beginning to realize. And as all of you know, that Vasco da Gama, Christopher Columbus, they were all looking for spices. And they were all looking for haldi. And there is another guy which I did not know and I found out very recently, Jose Cabarillo is another guy who was looking for spices. He did not find the spices, but he founded San Diego. So San Diego was found by Jose Cabarillo. And you go, there is a museum called Point Lomas, and that's all the history that I'm telling you, it is in there. So having said that, and haldi is just one of the spice. And there are, over 50 different spices. And we have a whole book called Healing Spices. How spices can heal. So it is published by Barnes and Noble, and it is translated into several different languages, and basically it tells you how these spices do what they do. So having said that, so here as you can see that there is a connotation here in the Western world called add spice to your life. And you know again where it is coming from, and that is for wellness. Or targeting inflammatory pathways linked to chronic diseases by dietary agents and Ayurveda. And Ayurveda is another science that is a science of long life. And question is, what is there in Ayurveda, that works for health? And again, I'm going to cover you some of that, all of that. So, next slide, please. So, I think we are living in a modern era, and I just want to tell you, this is very important, that what kind of drugs that are people dealing with right now that are approved by the FDA. And this just so happened to be a drug approved by the FDA on March 18, 2019. So as recent as that, and this drug gives you 12.3 months in lifespan, overall survival, versus 10.3 if you did not take the drug. If you took the drug, 10.3 months. If you did not take it, 12.3 to 10.3. Only 2 months increase in lifespan. Just imagine. And how much it costs? $12,000 per month. $150,000 per year. And this is our dear FDA, the kind of drugs they are approving. Okay? And the list is very, very long. Next slide, please. By the way, it has a lot of side effects. And there's a long list of side effects, even after spending all that money. And here you can see some of the latest drug pricing. $475,000, $375,000, $850,000. That's the era we are living in. Okay? When the solutions are very, very simple. Next slide. So, I think I have some food for thought for you. That most of the drugs coming from the pharmaceutical company, they have not worked and they are never going to work. And the reason for that being that our human body is made up of 13 trillion cells. And it contains 24,000 different genes. Just imagine the complexity. And the 98% of the human DNA that was thought to be junk is no longer junk. Can everybody see in the back? I'm sorry. So, just to give you an idea about the complexity, and there are 100 billion neurons of at least 1,000 different varieties. And there are 100 trillion connections in the brain. And no two human beings are alike, no two cells are alike, no two genes are alike. Yet they keep on giving the same drug to everybody. Almost 90% of the human body is made up of bacteria, which was totally ignored. And over 1,000 species and almost 1 million genes that are coming from bacteria that are controlling our body. If so, how do we expect to cure any disease but targeting a single gene? And virtually all drug industry as of today, they are targeting single gene. So by targeting all chronic diseases known to man, they are made up of multiple genes. Every disease. So I tell people that it is the mother who brings us in this world, and Mother Nature is there to take care of it. And Mother Nature always targets multiple genes. And when I say Mother Nature, means that the drugs that are found from plants, from all kind of stuff that are Ayurveda, like turmeric, and you name it. Turmeric controls over 300 different genes. And they are all bad genes, not good ones. Just imagine. And I'm going to show you what those genes are. Next slide, please. So, here we are again sitting in America. I should not be saying that, but it is true that what is shown here in red is a cancer incidence. And what is shown here in white is, this is cancer incidence, the highest cancer incidence. And what is in white is the lowest cancer incidence. No country has more cancer than America. No country has more diabetes than America. No country has more obesity than America. No country has more Parkinson than America. No country has more Alzheimer than America. And yet, no country has spent more money to find the cure than America. And that goes on. So spending money is not going to help. Why? Because all these diseases are diseases of lifestyle. How they are diseases of lifestyle? Again, I'm going to show you. So, as India, I came here 45 years ago. I asked for a vegetable. They gave me Kentucky fried chicken as a vegetable. So, as of today, if I ask a vegetable, I will get it. So, what I'm trying to get at, that America is becoming Indianized. Whereas India, on the other hand, is becoming Americanized. So therefore, the cancer is on the decline in America, whereas it is on the increase in India. And Modi government is starting a cancer center virtually in every state. Till now, there was only one major cancer center, and that is the Tata Cancer Center in Mumbai. And now every state has to have a cancer center because there are, so many cancer patients to be treated. So you can imagine. So living the American lifestyle is not going to help them. Next slide. Next slide, please. So here you can see that projection for global cancer incidence and cancer death. And I happen to be working on cancer for the last 40 years, so a lot of my presentation is connected with cancer. But whatever I have to say about cancer applies to other chronic diseases as well. So here you can see the new cases and cancer death 2002, 2020 and 2030. It is all on the increase, not decrease overall. Because now countries that had a much less cancer, now there it is going to go up, so they are compensating for America. Next slide, please. So this is our working hypothesis that dysregulated chronic inflammation, dysregulated uncontrolled chronic inflammation caused by lifestyle factors mediate chronic diseases including cancer. So you change your lifestyle, you can take care of cancer. Next slide, please. So here is a journal, very prestigious journal called Immunity. As I mentioned that all this inflammation comes from the immune system. And here you can see the fire in flame, that the fires are burning. And there are molecules called cytokines, which are this molecule produced by the immune system that causes fire. Next slide, please. So we have written an article and we happen to discover a molecule called TNF when I was in Genentech, and we discovered it stands for tumor necrosis factor, and we discovered as an anti-cancer agent, but it turned out to be primary mediator of inflammation. And as of today, the blockers of this TNF is a $50 billion a year market. 50 billion. No drug known to man has a bigger market. And they are all to block inflammation. And they are made by this company that you may have heard of called Amgen. They are made by Johnson & Johnson, and they are made by Abbott. 15 billion, 15 billion, 15 billion. And that is all based on this molecule that we discovered called TNF. So signaling pathways of the TNF superfamily, a double-edged sword. And when I use the double-edged sword, means one edge of the sword is good for you, other edge of the sword is bad for you. Okay? Or historical perspectives on the TNF superfamily, 25 years later, a golden journey. And golden journey, I have a double meaning. Golden journey means not just 25 years, it also means turmeric, solid gold, the Indian solid gold turmeric. And that can control TNF. Just imagine. So you don't need to spend $50 billion. And no drug industry is interested in turmeric, haldi, or any of that. But that can take care of it. Virtually every disease that is linked with those antibodies that are used, that turmeric can take care of it. Next slide, please. So, secret killer. Again, I mentioned you, inflammation. So, this is a cover of Time magazine. The secret killer is inflammation, and it's linked with heart attack, cancer, Alzheimer, you name it. Next slide, please. Next. So this is what is called fires within. So fires are burning in the brain, leading to all brain diseases. Fires are burning in the joints, leading to arthritis and whatnot. Fires are burning in the heart and lung, you name it. It is all about fires. Next slide, please. And as I already mentioned you, there are two kinds of fire, good fire and bad fire. Good fire is the fire that is under control. So here you have a kitchen. You can see, you can turn on the stove, you do your cooking. Here you have a living room. You can warm up your living room or bedroom. And here is the uncontrolled fire. Everybody wants this. Nobody wants that. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned that we have now published more than 700 papers. So if anybody does not get the point what I'm talking about, please drop me a line. My email address is bbaggarwal@gmail.com. And I will be glad to send you the papers that we have published. And here just came in 2018, inflammation, a double-edged sword for cancer and other age-related chronic disease. You name it. So we provide all the evidence. Next slide, please. So, question is, what causes fire? Okay. Cigarette smoking. Here is a radiation. Here is alcohol. Here is a diet. Here is obesity. All these are pro-inflammatory. They all cause fire. Next, please. So, here you can see this is environmental pollutants causing inflammation. Grilled food, fried food, red meat, all causing fire. All this bacteria causing fire. All these viruses causing fire. Cigarette smoking, stress. We are more under stress now than ever before. Psychological stress, mechanical stress, chemical stress, any kind of stress will lead to fire. pH, hypoxia, heavy metal, even chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is supposed to be working in our favor, but apparently it causes fire and makes cancer worse. Okay, and lead to chemo resistance and all the side effects. And ultraviolet radiation, alcoholic beverages, all lead to fire, inflammation. Next slide, please. So, this is very, very important for people to realize that cancer is a preventable disease that requires a major changes in lifestyle. And if you don't make those changes, nobody can help you. Okay? So having said that, 30% of all cancers are due to tobacco. 35% are due to diet, what you eat. And 14 to 20% obesity, 18% infections, 7% environmental pollution and radiation, and only 5% due to the genes that you inherit. 90 to 95% of the cancers is your environment. Only 5% due to genes. And those cancers only primarily occur in children. because they have not done anything. So they inherited bad genes. So the contribution from the gene is very little, yet every drug that has been made till now by the pharmaceutical companies are targeting these genes. So they make more money, more cancer you have, more money they make. And that's the whole idea. So they don't want you to stop any of this. They want to continue to make those drugs so that they can make more money out of you. Next slide, please. So here, SAD is fad. SAD means Standard American Diet. SAD means Standard American Diet, and that is the fad. And this is outlined what is Standard American Diet. Just imagine. This is not going to happen. And I wish there were more young people over here, to see that. And all of that lead to inflammation. Okay? Next slide, please. So it was this gentleman, his name is Rudolf Virchow, and he was from Germany in 19th century. And he wanted to be a mayor of Würzburg. So whenever he lost election, he started working on inflammation. So he was the one who defined inflammation is that inflammation is a redness. So whenever you have inflammation, skin turns red, there is a swelling, there is a heat, and there is a pain. All this is a representation of inflammation, that you can actually see it. So he was the one who linked inflammation with atherosclerosis, with rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, cancer, asthma, Alzheimer, you name it. Next slide, please. He is also the one introduced the word for inflammation called ETs. What does it mean? Somebody says, oh, I have arthritis. All you are talking about is inflammation of the joints. Somebody says, I have a bronchitis, inflammation of the bronchus. So wherever this word ETs appears, it means inflammation of the different organs. Just imagine. Next slide, please. So as of today, there are over 200 different kinds of ETs. 200. Somebody says, oh, I have a colitis, inflammation of the colon. Somebody says, I have gastritis, inflammation of the stomach. So it is all ETs. So you are treating the disease, for inflammation. ETs, ETs, ETs. Next slide, please. So again, when we talk about ulcerative colitis, that some of you may have heard of, and that lead to colon cancer. And it takes about 30 years. And again, as you can see, that this is prevalence of ulcerative colitis in Japan, 7.9 per 100,000, India, 44.3 per 100,000, and again, US is taking the lead, 229 per 100,000. So you can imagine. So these ETs will lead to colon cancer. Next slide, please. So here I just indicate to you, summarize for you, that these are all the viruses, Helicobacter pylori, tobacco, high-fat, all these different things leading to inflammation, and that leading to ETs, and ETs leading to cancer. 20 to 30 years. And most of these ETs starts at the age of 20 to 30. And cancer leads to 40 to 50. So it's a 20 years of incubation time. So you can imagine. Next slide, please. So there is a master switch in our body, and I don't want to get too technical, and that master switch in the body called NF-kappa B. It is a quote-unquote a transcription factor, and this NF-kappa B activation is a major mediator of inflammation in chronic diseases, and if you were to inhibit NF-kappa B, you can prevent and delay the onset of chronic disease. You name it. Next slide, please. So as of today, there are 500 different genes in our body that are regulated by this NF-kappa. And here just to show you. Oh, by the way, this presentation is available to anybody and everybody who can try to understand. I'm going to run through very quickly. And if you want to digest, you can take it home and try to dissect more. Next slide, please. So here you have this, I mentioned that we discovered a molecule called TNF, and that turned out to be a major activator of this transcription factor, and that lead to a survival of the tumor, chemo resistance, proliferation of the tumor, angiogenesis, invasion, metastasis, bone loss. These are all things associated with cancer. And this is a major mediator, you can imagine. So I'm just telling you mechanistically. Next slide, please. So I'm hoping that all of you here are in peace. And if you are in peace, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And if you have a Shanti, your NF kappa is down. Moment you get mad, moment you get angry, your NF kappa goes up. And that leads to the disease. And that's why they tell you, keep your Shanti. Go to a temple, believe in God, do this, do that. That is all to keep NF kappa down. Whereas on the other hand, here is all different type of cancers. NF kappa is permanently on. Permanently on. And the only way you can cure cancer by bringing this guy down. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Without that, you cannot keep your NF kappa down. Moment you get mad, and there are a lot of experiments that have been done. Next slide, please. So, NF kappa addiction and its role in cancer, one size does not fit all. So, the cancer is addicted to NF kappa B. And there is no better way to block NF kappa B than haldi, than turmeric. And we have provided all the evidence. No better way. And that's why they tell you haldi is healthy. And I'm going to show you that. So, and when I say one size does not fit all, what I mean by there are different reasons why NF kappa is up. Next slide, please. So here are all the different pathways that, somebody is mad for one reason, somebody is there are different reasons that people lose their temper. Okay, and that all lead to NF kappa B. All kind of diet that I showed you, they all activate NF kappa B. And there's plenty of evidence. Okay, next slide please. So here, this NF kappa B, a normal guy who does not have a cancer, that transformation from normal to a cancer guy, you need NF kappa. For a cancer guy to survive, you need NF kappa. For cancer guy to proliferate, you need this. For invasion, because the cancer metastasizes to different organs, it becomes very lethal. Even that, you need NF kappa. And angiogenesis, metastasis, all this is NF kappa. And it takes about 20 to 30, it takes 10 to 20 years to go from here to here, another 10 years to go from here to here. That means this is not something that happened yesterday. That means it is 20 to 30 years of time. And most people who come down with cancer, they are in India, it is in 40s, in America, it is 50s. That means the cancer started at the age of 10 or 20. That means they were eating bad diet. And so if they continue, and it will eventually lead to this. Next slide, please. So, and that is true not just for cancer, it is true for all these diseases. Even something like aging. And nobody considers aging as a disease. But as we age, our organs slow down, and even that leads to aging. And that is again NF kappa B. And Japan is the only country, I think Japan has the longest lifespan as compared to any other country in the world. And again, it is their lifestyle. Okay? And so here you can see all these diseases that have been linked to NF kappa B. However, we should keep in mind, as I mentioned, there are good fires and there are bad fires. Good fire is what we need, bad fire is that we do not. And so NF-kappa B is not a bad guy. God does not make something for nothing. So, I told you so far all the bad things that NF-kappa B does. But point of the matter is, without NF-kappa B, you do not have immune system. And you need immune system. So it's like a fire. If you keep a fire under control, it's good. And that's what I mean by immune system. So NF-kappa B is very important. Next slide, please. So cigarette smoke. We were the first one to show activates NF-kappa. Next slide, please. Next. And most people who smoke cigarette, they come down with lung cancer. And so we examined the patient with lung cancer. And here are the different stages of the disease, and brown color is the indication of NF-kappa B. So as disease gets more and more advanced, there is more and more NF-kappa B. Just imagine, just from the brown color you can tell. Next slide, please. So obesity. So 14% of the cancers in male and 20% of the cancers in female are linked to obesity. And here I outline all the cancers that have been linked to obesity. Just imagine. Next slide. So, bottom line is, NF-kappa B is the enemy within us. And we need to find a control. NF-kappa B can be a friend if it remains in the immune system. But if it gets out of the immune system, it becomes a foe. And NF-kappa B in cancer, a matter of life and death. So these are titles that I give to my article to communicate the sentiments. Because everybody is so busy. Nobody has the time to read. So if you give a headline news, and that says it all what you are trying to say, that does it. Next slide, please. So stress, as I said, we are a lot more under stress than ever before. So here is a stress, NF-kappa B, inflammation and cancer. Very simple. Next slide, please. So, neutralizing, there's a paper in Science, which is a very prestigious journal, neutralizing tumor-promoting chronic inflammation, a magic bullet. And this is again my colleague Lisa Cousin from Genentech who wrote this. And again, I'm sharing his sentiments that it is not only me, but other people also believe in the same thing. Next slide, please. So, question is, you have a fire. You have an uncontrolled fire, you need a fire extinguisher. Okay? Which means how to suppress NF-kappa B activation safely. So if you go to drug industry, they will come up with a lot of inhibitors, but they are not safe. They have a lot of side effects. And that's where we discovered haldi as an NF-kappa B inhibitor. And no agent is known better than haldi as for NF-kappa B inhibitor. And that's why you see a lot of shops now selling turmeric and curcumin, and I'm going to come to that, and then all control it. Next slide, please. So, and there is a whole issue of science, and that is all about, as I mentioned, Mother Nature. Mother is the one to bring us, Mother Nature is to take care of it. And this is all Mother Nature. Disease prevention. Whole issue of science. Next slide, please. So, when it comes to inflammation, there are a lot of anti-inflammatory agents. And you heard of steroids, you heard of NSAID, you heard of Celebrex, you heard of metformin, you heard of statins. They are all made by man. And here is what I'm going to talk to you about, what is made by Mother Nature, which means natural products. Next slide, please. So here you can see aspirin. Even aspirin comes from a willow tree. Here is a steroid, fenugreek. You cook fenugreek in the kitchen. And there was a guy called Jurasi from Stanford. He was the first one to isolate diastatin, and that was one of the first steroids from fenugreek. Okay? And here is a statin, comes from aspergillus. Here is a metformin, and this was discovered in Japan, Galenga officinalis, and that is where metformin came from. And this was more than 100 years ago it was discovered. And it was adapted, I don't know, maybe 50 years ago here in America, maybe even much less so. Next slide, please. So we have done a review called Cancer Drug Discovery by Repurposing, Teaching New Tricks to Old Dogs. That means there are a lot of drugs out there, and they do anything and everything. You can tell them what you want to do, like a haldi. You know, just like a Vishnu Sahasranam, there is a haldi Sahasranam. Okay? I mean, you would not believe, you know, the rubber gavasa. Rubber means fat, gavasa means disappears. Madhu Nashini, that's the name of haldi. Madhu means sugar, Nashini means destroys. Just imagine, Ratri Manika. Ratri means night, Manika means glows. So what I am saying, that these are the drugs that were used for thousands of years. And now, all what we are doing is providing the mechanism. And that is where the word repurposing starts. Take the old drugs and find the new juices. You don't need anything new. Next slide. So here is, for example, aspirin. You know, aspirin was originally discovered as a painkiller, analgesic. And now doctors are giving it for myocardial infarction. Doctors are saying, well, take a 30 milligram aspirin every day. You know, and so they are using for hemorrhagic stroke, for cancer, for ischemic. This is repurposing. Okay, next slide please. So aspirin for cancer, metformin for cancer, statin for cancer. So a lot of people now using such, you know, the other drugs. Next slide please. Next. So to treat and prevent most chronic diseases, we need to dial down, but not turn off. Dial down means the gene has gotten out of control. You need to bring it back in control. And every drug made by man or the pharmaceutical company, they turn off the genes, which means they have a lot of side effects. And I can tell you with haldi, you know, there is a Jewish people, Dean Brenner from University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. He did not think that there is a haldi can be not toxic. So he went up to 30 grams a day, 100 patients for 100 days to find the toxicity. And he could not. He gave up. He started taking himself. Just imagine. So people all the time ask me, how much haldi should I take? Hey, your name is Rajdhami. My name is Bharat Aggarawal. Here is my wife Uma. Everybody have their own issues. And that is called personalized medicine. So you decide how much you should be taking. There is no toxic dose, it's not going to hurt you, but then why should you take more than necessary? So you decide, is it a, you know, half a teaspoon or, you know, 1 teaspoon or 2 teaspoons, whatever keeps you in good health is good for you. And that is what Obama declared as a personalized medicine, you know, and that has been known for a long, long time. Okay. So you decide that what is good for you, what is not. And it is not like a pharmaceutical companies and they come up with a dose for the white guy. And the guy like us started taking the same dose and we react to it. Because it's very, very highly personalized. Okay? So here there is no issue of any kind. You know, you turn off multiple genes by doing this, not by single gene. Next slide please. So Sloan School of Management at MIT and Harvard Business School has created what is called farmers market. However, what we need is a farmers market. Okay. Again, this is not coming from me. This is a quote coming from New York Times. Okay, 2009. So very, very simple message. Next slide, please. So it was this gentleman that some of you may have heard of, and here in America, and maybe in India, I don't know, that anybody who gets a medical degree, they have to take what you call Hippocrates Oath. Okay? And it was this gentleman who advocated healing effects of foods. And he was the one who introduced, let food be thy medicine. Next slide, please. See, Hippocrates, 25 centuries ago. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Okay? So we are not talking anything new. You know, we are simply reviving the same thesis. And as I said, every doctor has to take a Hippocrates oath. And yet, they don't know ABC of food. Okay? They don't know ABC of food. They push the drugs that are coming from the pharmaceutical company. And here, you can see the message is as clear as it can be. Next slide, please. So this is the whole Hippocrates oath. that they have to take. I just outlined, just to show you, 5th century BC. Next slide, please. So Hippocrates proclaimed 25 centuries ago, Hippocrates' oath has morphed into hypocritical oath. What does that mean? First do no harm has become first make more money. Okay, and again coming from New York Times. Okay, so things have changed. Next slide, please. So this is what is called farmer's market. And this is nothing new to you, or most of us who are coming from India. And here is a fruits, here is spices and condiment, here are vegetables, here are cereals. Next, please. So here is all the vegetables, and here are all the cereals. So we have a whole book. There are 900 different kind of foods, and average American eats no more than 10. So same old thing again and again and again. Variety is the name of the game. And so next slide, please. These are all the fruits. Just imagine. So we go to different countries, we see all different kind of food. And a lot of us have grown up with it. And now we come to America, we completely forget about it. And then we will face the same problem. Next slide, please. And these are all the different spices. You can see this is what Vasco da Gama, Christopher Columbus, and Jose Cabrillo were looking for. And again, as I mentioned, that if anybody wants this information, it is available to you and make use of it. Next slide, please. So when solution is simple, God is answering. And I did not say that, Albert Einstein said that. Very simple. Next slide, please. So Ayurveda, again, science of long life. And we have forgotten about it. Almost 5,000 BCE originated from the oral tradition, where Chela and Guru sitting next to each other and one passing the information to the other. Next slide, please. And so we have written a review from traditional Ayurvedic medicine to modern medicine. And there are a lot of modern medicine that have come from Ayurveda. Okay, so we have put all this together. If anybody is interested, can look it up. Next slide, please. So here you have a traditional knowledge, you have a modern knowledge, and you have a modern technology. Ideally speaking, one can combine all this together into one. Okay, what I call golden triangle. Next slide, please. So here you can see these are all Ayurvedic herbs. I should not say use the word all. These are some of the Ayurvedic herbs that one can make use of, and I'm going to share some of them with you. And next slide, please. So here is amla. You might have heard of amla. Umbellica officinalis. Okay. And here we showed that amla blocks NF-kappa B without any problem. Okay. And it is all published. And if it blocks NF-kappa B, it blocks cancer. And it blocks all cancer-causing genes. What more do we need? Next slide, please. So, next. Oh, sorry, just 1 second. So, this is what I call reverse pharmacology. What does that mean? That we have identified a lot of agents from Ayurveda that are anti-inflammatory, and they play a role in various chronic diseases. And the science that existed 5,000 years ago is very different than the science what exists now. So we have brought them. Normally people go from the bench to the bedside, which means the drugs are discovered on the bench, and then you go on the bedside and give it to the patients. Here, you go from the bedside, you know these things, what they do in bed, what they do for the patient, and then you come back in the laboratory and find out how do they. And that is what I mean by reverse pharmacology. To understand that how they are working, from bedside to bench. Next slide, please. So this is what used to be the tradition. That here you have a guru and here you have a chela sitting there and learning all about Ayurveda. Next slide, please. So, and according to Ayurveda, virtually every disease is known to man. They are caused by the imbalance of Pitta, Vita, Kapha. It is the imbalance between these three that lead to every disease. And it's a totally different kind of science as compared to what we are used to now. And as all of you know, that the Modi government has built now the Ayush, which is combining Ayurveda with yoga, Unani, and homeopathy and all that. Next slide, please. So this is, according to Ayurveda, inflammation is a sofa. So sofa in Ayurveda is called inflammation. And here are the various Sanskrit words that what causes inflammation. And this is the ancient, and this is the modern, what I have already told you, what is inflammation. Next slide, please. So, and in cancer, when the cancer starts, there is a word called granthi. Granthi means a small nodule. Okay? And that develops into arbuda, which is malignancy. And then there are different kind of malignancy, and they are all outlined here. So this is all we have in that review, if anybody is interested. Next slide, please. So here is some of the treatments: health maintenance, spiritual, restoration, disease cure. These are all the different treatments. Next slide, please. So here, that what they go for herbs, they go for yoga, they go for diet, they go for meditation, astrology, sound therapy, panchakarma, rasayana, aromatherapy, prayers. These are all treatments, Ayurvedic treatments. So you can see it is not just about chemicals. You know, here just take some statin and your disease will go away. It has not and it will not. So it is very, very holistic. Next slide, please. So Googling the Google, you know the Google, okay? And this is Ayurveda. And Googling the Google, which is called Kami for a Mukal, for prevention of chronic disease. So there are two different kind of Googles. One is Kami Fora, second is called Boswellia, which is also called Salai Google. Okay, next slide please. So here you can see that the Google for chronic disease is ancient medicine and modern targets. And it's all written in Sanskrit, and this is what it looks like, and these are the active compounds. Okay, next slide please. And here we should Dicloxanafcapabi. So you don't need to go very far. And with Dicloxanafcapabi can control the disease. Next slide please. Here is a Boswellia serrata. It is believed that even Jesus Christ was buried in this Salai Google. Okay, and it is considered very holy, and we used to make incense. That frank incense is coming from the Salai Google. And so these are the active compounds over here, and here again we showed it blocks and next slide please. Here is Ashwagandha with anolite. Ashwa means horse, Gandha means smell. It smells like a horse. And that's why the name is Ashwagandha. And so here you can see that is also called Indian ginseng. Next slide please. Here is a long pepper. We know round pepper, short pepper. And here is a long pepper. Looks like this. And here is a paper that came from Harvard about how long pepper kills the cancer guy. And the active compound is piperlongumine. Next slide please. And here we showed even that is working through blocking NF-kappa B. We provided the evidence for that. Next slide please. And here we have a whole book with this guy David Heber. If anybody is interested, can look it up. He is the head of the clinical nutrition at UCLA, and we've been working with him for last 20 years. So this is a book that we wrote it together, and it is called Immunonutrition, Interaction of Diet, Genetics and Inflammation. Next slide please. So as I said, the farmer's market. So the things that are coming from farmer's market are called pharmaceutical. Okay, they change the name, refers to medically valuable compound produced from modified agriculture, crops and animals. Next slide please. So this is the pharmaceutical that what we have identified from Mother Nature. that we have spices, we have identified the active compound, we have Ayurvedic medicine, we have fruits and vegetables, traditional Chinese medicine, and various others. We have identified what is in there that can block inflammation. Next slide, please. So these are the active compounds that we have identified. Just like, for example, haldi, turmeric. Whole turmeric is a powder, and what gives a yellow color is a compound called curcumin, and that's what gives the yellow color. Okay, and only 5 to 10% of haldi is curcumin, and here is coming from the spices, and this is the structure of that curcumin. So we have actually compound from haldi that can block NF-kappa B, and we were the first one to show that. Okay, and that's what gives the yellow color. Next slide, please. So inflammation, lifestyle, and chronic disease, the silent link. So this is another book that we have. So we outlined what causes inflammation and what prevents inflammation. Okay, everything is indicated in this book. Next slide, please. So here is a resveratrol. Some of you may have heard of. So people who like to drink the red wine, they think the only source of resveratrol is red grapes, because they are justifying the red wine. And they have to drink 100 liters of that red wine to get enough resveratrol. They'll keep drinking. And when I started, there was hardly any publication on resveratrol. And now there are a lot of publications, lot of companies out there, and a lot of selling. Whole red wine market went up. Okay, because of it. But here you can see that's not the only source of resveratrol. Here is the mungfali, peanuts. And originally it was discovered in Japan, in this plant called Polygonum cuspidata. And even as of today, this is the richest source of resveratrol. But you can see there are so many others. And red wine, as I said, you have to drink 100 liters of wine, to get enough resveratrol. But that's how they justify. Next slide. So here we showed resveratrol addiction, to die or not to die. Okay. So if you drink too much red wine, it's going to kill you. So, and resveratrol, a multi-targeted agent for age-associated chronic diseases. Chemosensitization, as I said, all the chemotherapy radiation, they all activate NF-kappa B and make patient worse. And this resveratrol will completely block it. Next slide, please. Here is indole 3-carbinol, another compound. We showed that blocks NF-kappa B, and you can see where it is coming from. Everything should look very familiar to you. Next slide, please. And here is a neem. And neem is a tree. The botanical name of neem is Azadi. Azadi means freedom. Drakht means tree. Indica means India. The tree which comes from India and gives you freedom from all diseases is called Azadi Raktika Indica. That's how the name came. Azadi. And in Sanskrit, it is called Sarv Rog Nivarani. In Sanskrit. I did not make it up. Okay? Cure of all diseases. That is neem. And I'm sure virtually most of the people, if not all, in this room are familiar with what is neem. Next slide, please. Then here we showed that neem, the active compound from neem called nimbolide, will block NF-kappa B. No problem. Next slide, please. And so here if it blocks NF-kappa B, does it work against cancer? And here we looked at the colorectal cancer. No problem. You can take care of it just by giving neem. Next slide, please. And tocotrienol. The tocotrienol is the vitamin E of the 21st century, and its potential against cancer and chronic diseases. What is tocotrienol? Next slide, please. So everybody heard of tocopherol, vitamin E, and very few people have heard of tocotrienol. Here I indicated the number of publications. So tocotrienol has 3 double bonds that are missing in tocopherol. It's a very different compound. Next slide, please. So, where it comes from? It comes from palm, rice, barley, oat, wheat. Again, back to Mother Nature. Richest source of tocotrienol. Next slide, please. So, here you can see palm oil, 940 milligram per kilogram. And here I indicated all the amounts in all this one, how much it is worth. Again, coming back to Mother Nature. Next slide, please. So, here we block tocotrienol, but not tocopherol. Everybody knows about tocopherol. When they will go to health food store, they will buy tocopherol. Vitamin E. Does not do anything. Okay? And tocotrienol will block NF-kappa B and OPS. Okay? And I showed you the sources where it's coming from. Next slide, please. And then, if it works against cancer, against NF-kappa B, does it work against cancer? And pancreatic cancer is one of the most lethal cancer known to man. If there's any more cancer that is more lethal than this, is a gallbladder cancer, which occurs in India, and especially in North India, and especially people living around the river Ganges, and nobody knows why. So here in the Western world, pancreatic cancer is the most lethal. Check in there. Next slide, please. And again, we provided the evidence that yes, tocotrienol does work against cancer. Okay. Next slide, please. So from exotic spice to modern drugs, the global demand for more affordable therapeutic and concern about side effects of commonly used drugs are refocusing interest on Eastern traditional medicine, particularly those from India and China. Next slide, please. So here is a chronic disease, inflammation and spices. How are they linked? How spices work for chronic diseases? Okay, next slide, please. And here are all the spices, and that's what they call add spice to your life. Okay, different spices. Next slide, please. And here is a Vasco da Gama, May 20th, 1498, looking for spices, and that route is called Spice Route. And that route is called Spice Route. Just imagine. And this is where he landed. Calicut, go. Next slide, please. And these are the different spices, dietary spices. Okay, and you ask your children, hey, try some spices. Oh, I don't like it. I hate it. So you can see what is, what they are heading for. Okay, and that's very sad. So sad becomes sad is sad. Standard American diet is sad. But that is the fact. So anyway, so these are all the different spices. Next slide, please. So this is what I meant by, we have a book called Healing Spices. If anybody is interested, they are translated into Spanish, Italian, German, and so forth. Next slide, please. Next. So we have another one, molecular targets and therapeutic uses of spices. Again, if anybody is interested. Next slide, please. So add spice to your life, curry in a hurry. Spice it up. Here in America, they use all this terminology. Okay? Spice queen, spice goddess. Next slide, please. So much so, most American women, they're named after spices. Okay? You can imagine the obsession. Here you have anise, you have ginger, rosemary, mace, pepper, basil, tulsi, sage, jasmine, angelica, curry, chili, tamarind. All women are named after spices. Chili. It's really amazing. Next slide, please. So, dietary nutraceutical as a backbone for bone health. As we get older, we start having problems with bones, and apparently there's no better way to take care of these bones than all this spice, than all this nutraceutical. And we have provided all the evidence. Okay, and there is a, as I mentioned, company Amgen. Amgen has a drug, denosumab, and apparently it is an inhibitor of one of the protein, and spices can take care of it. Next slide, please. Healing with spices. Next slide, please. And these are different spices. So these are some more. Okay, just I'm trying to show you spices. Next. More spices. Next. So here we have an annual reviews of nutrition, that how spices work for obesity and metabolic syndrome, which means diabetes. We provided all the mechanisms. Next. and molecular targets of nutraceutical derived from dietary spices. Next slide, please. So here are the active compounds from different spices, and my time is running out, so I just want to show you that what we have done. Next, and red chili, how it works. Next, ginger, how it works. Next, ginger more, how it is preventing bone loss. Next, black cumin and how it is inducing tumor regression and active compounds. Next, and fenugreek, again how it is working and preventing bone loss. Next, and here is a fennel. Again, we are very familiar with fennel, what is the active compound and how it works. Next, and here is a black pepper, and again how it works, black pepper indica, piper indica. Next, and here is a cardamom. So you have a green cardamom and you have a black cardamom. So here is a black cardamom, which not very many people, at least in America, are familiar with. Next slide. And here is it blocks bone loss. Next. And here is a curcumin, getting back to our roots. Next. So here, these are the roots what we are talking about, and this is the rhizome, and this is the dried turmeric, and this is the powder, and this is the active compound diphenylmethane, which is called curcumin. Next. And here we are on the cover of Trends in Pharmacological Sciences, that no wedding in the West that is complete without turmeric. And you can see all the rituals and everything. Next. So this is the title of that article, that what we are on the cover for. That again gives you some idea, and you can review this later on. Next slide, please. And remember, I mentioned you that there is just like Vishnu Sahasranam, there is Turmeric Sahasranam. And these are all the different names. Even something like Hridaya Vilasini, which gives you happiness to your heart, and Jwar Antika, Jwar means fever, takes care of fever. And so the list goes on and on, and my time is running out, but I just want to kind of give you the glimpse. Okay, next slide please. And turmeric, the golden spice from traditional medicine to modern medicine, and that we published recently. Next. And this is all the 180 different countries, that what they call turmeric, and all the names are that I put together. And these are all the names just coming from India in Sanskrit, and these are other places. Next slide please. And so there are 200 different species of turmeric. And most of you come from Gujarat, and in Gujarat there is a Karkuma Amba, So, and that tastes like a mango. That's like a amba, So these are all other different species. So you can imagine. Next. So here, this is the guy who discovered curcumin in turmeric, 1842, by German people, and they are the one who synthesized it. And Srinivasan is the one who discovered that it was a mixture, but you can see this all happened in Germany. Okay, and the first paper ever to be published on curcumin or turmeric is in Nature, saying it is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory. The list, anti-termite, the list goes on. Next slide please. So here is, before the pH meter came along, turmeric was used as a pH indicator. How? That if you put turmeric under alkaline condition, it will turn red like this. And that's what women use it on their forehead. So you can imagine. And if you put under acidic condition, it will turn black like this. So it was a pH indicator. And as you know that as when we are kids, we get hurt. And one of the first things that your mother will apply is turmeric. So Johnson & Johnson take advantage, they made a Band-Aid. Turmeric Band-Aid. Okay, so you can imagine. Okay, so how much curcumin is there in turmeric? And here you can see if there is a 25 gram, 0.5 gram is curcumin and 24.5 gram is other things in there. Next slide please. So antibacterial action, I mentioned you, it is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory and so forth. Next slide please. And toxicity of turmeric extract to the termites. So this is, in the south, they sprinkle turmeric all around the house. And it is anti-ants. I made a movie that if you have all kind of ant problem, little bit turmeric, ants will go away in a matter of seconds. You will be amazed. Okay, so here is the turmeric. Next slide, please. So, and it is anti-inflammatory. And here is published way back then, it was compared with hydrocortisone and phenobutazone. And it is more active than any of these drugs. Next slide, please. And it is antiviral. And here you can see that this is the virus, cervical cancer is the #1 cancer among Indian women in India. And it completely shuts down cervical cancer. So you can imagine that they are actually making, devices that they can use turmeric to take care of cervical cancer. So papilloma virus is one of the major infective, and women will take care of it. Next slide, please. And it blocks NF-kappa B that I already mentioned. Next slide, please. And most of the cancer-causing genes are shut down by turmeric. Next slide, please. And so far, nobody has found a cancer that turmeric cannot take care of.
Wow.
I challenge you. Okay, here I put down all the cancers that are published already. Next slide, please. And here are all the, as I said, it is a multi-targeted. Drugs made by man is only one thing, but here you can see so many. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, there are 300 different genes that it binds to. Physical binding, even albumin. So people are making a lot of money out of turmeric. Why? Because they think it is not bioavailable. 5 minutes. Okay, perfect. So apparently they think it is not bioavailable. And so the reason it is not bioavailable, turmeric binds to albumin. And our body is full of albumin. So all the turmeric is soaked by albumin and it is released gradually as needed. Okay? So here you can see all the different binders. So as I say that, if everybody loves you, you are not available because too many people love you. But if everybody hates you, you are always available. And that is the situation. Okay? So it is that situation. Okay? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So,
Bharat, keep the
oh,
mic.
sorry. So, TNF blockade is inflammatory issue. As I mentioned, TNF blockade is a very big market. Next slide, please. So these are all the different diseases that TNF blockers are used. And this is, as of 5 years ago, $20 billion. Now it is $40 billion. And these are all the different diseases. Next slide, please. But, and these are the different drugs that are out there in the market based on TNF blocker. And Haldi can take care of it. Next slide, please. And these are all the side effects that those drugs that people are taking, that what it leads to. So you don't have to live with that if you're taking turmeric. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. And so curcumin, an orally bioavailable blocker of TNF and other pro-inflammatory biomarkers. There is no problem at all whatsoever. Okay, it is completely bioavailable and it does what it's supposed to. Next slide, please. And so, when it comes to test tube, everything works. When it comes to animals, everything works. But the thing is, we are neither test tube nor we are animals. So we have to see what happens in humans. And these are the human clinical trials that are coming with the curcumin, blocking TNF. And here is a 21 patient, 23 patients, and here 150 milligram twice a day will take care of the disease. Just imagine. Okay, next slide, please. And so there are other, now, as I mentioned, Modi government is starting this whole Ayurveda thing. And now there are a lot of drugs coming from India that are based on Ayurveda. And this is one of the drugs that just came out, called BGR34 for diabetes. Next slide, please. And I indicated all the various plants. And this is another one just recently came out. This is about the clinical trial, that lesson to be learned from the clinical trial. Next. I quickly want to wrap it up. As of today, there are 300 different clinical trials. And no agent that I know to man that there are that many clinical trials. So there are plenty of clinical evidence. And I listed all those clinical trials. Next slide, please. And this is the first clinical trial ever done. And I'm not going to go through. Next slide, please. And curcumin bioavailability, as I mentioned, how big is the problem? It is not really a problem. Next slide, please. And next. So here is just to show you the bioavailability, again in different parts of the organ when simple curcumin is taken. Next slide, please. And I was giving a talk in Bulgaria, and this guy came to me who is using curcumin for cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, and where he is topically applying curcumin. You can see that what happened to this. topically, just curcumin. Next slide, please. And for psoriasis, clinical. And there is a woman, Madeline Hang at UCLA, and she changed the name of curcumin to Soria Gold, and she started a company. And here she is topically applying curcumin on people with psoriasis, and you can see what happens, the time frame and everything. Next slide, please. And she sells $180. You can Google it, $180 for that Soria Gold for a little bit of cream that she's trying to make money out of. And uveitis is another one, 106 patients, 86% of the patient responded. Next slide, please. And so effect of turmeric and curcumin, dietary supplements in human gut microbiota. Microbiota is another very big thing, which is bacteria in the guts, that how they can cause the disease, and curcumin will take care of it. And again, all the evidence. Next slide, please. And Deepak Chopra, some of you may have heard of. So he's the one who published this previous paper on gut microbiota. So turmeric is at least as effective as curcumin. And this is another thing that I get killed by a lot of people, because we compared side by side turmeric and curcumin at equal dose and found that turmeric does everything that curcumin does. So turmeric is $1 a kilo, curcumin is $100 a kilo, and now everybody who's trying to make money out of curcumin, they're trying to kill me. So I'm just letting you know. And so there's no difference whatsoever. Next slide, please. So here is just some experiments, and again, I don't want to go too far. Next slide, please. And these are just to show you the doses. And this is turmeric 100 and 500, and curcumin 100 and 500. And you can see for USL, the cancer is coming down and side by side. This is milligram per kilogram. Next slide, please. And so, and turn out that turmeric is very synergistic with the resveratrol, green tea, quercetin, piperine, genistein, and these are all again natural compounds that it works very effectively. Next. And so this is just to show you, just two more slides, and just to show you that countries like India, where spices are consumed, and the incidence of cancer in male versus female, and country like US, where spices are not consumed, incidence of cancer in male versus female. This is not my data, this is the data coming from National Institute of Health from Bethesda. Next slide, please. And this is now, they have gone cancer by cancer in US versus cancer cases and cancer death. Cancer cases and cancer death. You can see for you. Next slide, please. And so they wrote an article on us, spicy approach to cancer treatment. Curry compound fights cancer in the clinic. Next slide. So Scientific American called us a spice healer. Okay, so they wrote a whole article on that. Next slide, please. And I just so happened to be in Turkey, and that I was invited to give a talk, and I'm invited to give a talk again next month, and it is a Turkish government. And I saw my name in every restaurant called Bharat's Corner. So much so, there are billboards with Bharat. So here is my wife Uma sitting here, and she's taking my picture. And the guy started asking, hey, why you are taking his picture? She said, that's my husband, his name is Bharat. He said, no, it cannot be. In Turkish language, Bharat means spices. So, haldi is healthy, and that's the bottom line. Next. And this is just some of the concoction. Next. And this is the restaurant I was telling you in Manhattan, called Haldi Indian Cuisine. Next. This is in Palo Alto, if anybody is interested, turmeric, the golden spice. Next. And this is some of the cookies and all that you are familiar with. Next. And this is another book on chemosensitization. Next. And these are all the different compounds now, as of turmeric based right now, available. Next. And this is another conference that we are organizing on turmeric in India. Next. And these are our people. I do nothing. I simply tell my people, and by now over 100 people have worked with me, and they are now all professors and whatnot all around the world. They are the one who did all this work. I did not do anything. With that, I just want to say the last slide. And this is something very close to my heart. And we happen to be coming from Jalmandan and Hardik Abhinandan. And next, I want to share with you Mahavir ka Mangal Sandesh. And we were very, very, very amazed. Next. And it's a write-up again, I don't have the time to go through next, next, and next, next. Thank you.
Is there time for questions? Thank you very much for very amazing talk. As we all know, and we've been eating spicy food, vegetarian food, and healthy. And he apparently proved today that we were right 2,000 years ago, and we are right today. I just want to let everybody know that today's food has a maximum healthy today. So I want everybody to be ready for the good food. We do not have a time for a question. We had allotted, but we are running almost about 35 minutes late into our next program. So he will be around here. We can have a personal interaction. His talk is available, and to me it appears that we really need to have a 2 hour or 3 hour of a separate talk just for him. So I want to thank you very much, Dr. Aggarwal, on behalf of the Jain Center and our community for taking time on Saturday morning. I know you've been around the world many times. I heard about it, and I appreciate you coming down, and thank you very much. Thank you very much.